Another winter, another shift in the battlefield. In recent weeks, Russia has quietly recalibrated its military goals and operational tactics amid what has been described as an energy truce, a short-lived pause that reveals far more about Moscow's strategy than any official statement. This isn't a story about peace, it's a story about adaptation. While headlines briefly suggested de-escalation, the reality on the ground tells a different tale, one where Russia adjusts its focus, Ukraine braces for new forms of pressure, and modern warfare continues to evolve beyond the front lines. Let's break down what this so-called energy truce really means and why it may mark a new phase of the conflict. The energy truce emerged during one of the most dangerous moments of the year for Ukraine. The peak of winter. With temperatures plunging well below freezing, Ukraine's energy infrastructure once again became a focal point of international concern. Power plants, substations, and heating systems are not just utilities during winter, they are lifelines. According to Ukrainian officials, Russia temporarily reduced direct attacks on major energy facilities following diplomatic pressure, particularly after a request from the United States to avoid large-scale strikes on civilian energy targets during extreme cold. On the surface, this looked like a limited humanitarian pause, but in practice, the truce was narrow, conditional, and short. Russian officials never framed it as a ceasefire. Instead, Moscow treated it as a tactical pause, one that did not apply to all infrastructure, nor to military-linked targets. While major power plants saw fewer direct hits, other critical systems remained firmly in Russia's crosshairs. The message was subtle but clear. Energy targets might be spared temporarily, but the war machine never stopped. For much of the war, Russia's long-range campaign focused heavily on Ukraine's energy grid. The objective was simple: plunge cities into darkness, strain civilian morale, and force Kyiv to divert air defenses away from the battlefield. Now, amid the energy truce, Russia's goals appear to have shifted. Instead of prioritizing large power plants, Russian forces have increasingly targeted Ukraine's logistics backbone, railways, transport hubs, fuel depots, and transit nodes that keep both the economy and the military running. This is not a random change. It reflects a strategic recalculation. Railways are the arteries of Ukraine's war effort. Western weapons, ammunition, spare parts, and reinforcements all move along these lines. By disrupting them, Russia aims to slow Ukrainian troop rotations, complicate resupply, and reduce Kyiv's ability to launch or sustain counteroffensives. In other words, if energy infrastructure attacks were about freezing civilians, logistics strikes are about exhausting the army. This marks a shift from psychological pressure to operational strangulation. This change in goals is matched by a clear evolution in Russian tactics. Rather than relying solely on massive missile salvos, Russian forces are increasingly combining different systems in layered attacks. Drones are used not just as strike weapons, but as tools of deception, flying decoy routes, probing air defenses, and forcing Ukraine to expend valuable interceptor missiles. Once defenses are distracted or saturated, missiles follow. These attacks often arrive in waves, at varying altitudes and speeds, making interception more difficult. The intent is not necessarily to destroy a single high-value target, but to wear down Ukraine's air defense network over time. The energy truce, rather than reducing pressure, has simply redirected it. Despite sanctions and battlefield losses, Russia continues to demonstrate a significant ability to sustain long-range operations. Missiles remain a core pillar of Russian strategy. Cruise missiles launched from aircraft, ships, and ground platforms allow strikes deep inside Ukrainian territory. Ballistic missiles, faster and harder to intercept, are often reserved for high-value or time-sensitive targets. Alongside missiles, drones have become indispensable. Long-range strike drones are now produced in large numbers and used almost nightly. They are cheaper than missiles, harder to detect, and ideal for attritional warfare. This combination, missiles for precision and shock, drones for persistence and saturation, gives Russia flexibility. Even when one tool is constrained by diplomacy or logistics, another fills the gap. The result is a sustained pressure campaign that adapts rather than pauses. Ukraine, meanwhile, faces a different kind of challenge. Its air defense network is one of the most complex in the world, a mix of Soviet-era systems and modern Western platforms. Systems like Patriot have proven capable against advanced missile threats, but they rely on a steady supply of interceptors. And interceptors are finite. Every drone intercepted costs money. Every missile shot down costs even more. Russia understands this arithmetic well. By forcing Ukraine to respond to constant, low-cost threats, Moscow is testing the sustainability of Kyiv's defenses. At the same time, Ukraine continues to fight back with its own tools. Precision rockets, long-range drones, and guided munitions allow Ukrainian forces to strike Russian logistics, command posts, and rear areas. These attacks don't always dominate headlines, but they impose real costs. Still, Ukraine's biggest vulnerability remains infrastructure. Power grids, railways, and transport hubs are difficult to protect completely, and every successful strike ripples across both civilian life and military operations. The energy truce was never about peace. It was about positioning. For Russia, it provided diplomatic cover while allowing a tactical reset. For Ukraine, it offered brief relief, but also exposed how quickly Moscow can adapt its pressure points. The broader lesson is this: modern warfare is no longer linear. When one domain is constrained, energy, another becomes the focus, logistics. When missiles draw scrutiny, drones take center stage. When front lines stagnate, infrastructure becomes the battlefield. As winter continues and diplomacy ebbs and flows, both sides are preparing for the next phase. Russia appears determined to maintain pressure without crossing certain political red lines. Ukraine, in turn, is racing to reinforce defenses and secure continued Western support. The war hasn't slowed, it has simply changed shape. And in this new phase, the fight is less about who controls territory today and more about who can endure tomorrow. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.